Welcome to the Old Time Radio Superman Show. This is your host, Adam Graham, coming to you from Boise, Idaho. Last time we left our heroes, the four men had a plot to kill Jimmy Olson, have him ride a horse. That is very gentle unless you use spurs on it. If you use spurs on it, it becomes a crazy mad animal. Now, don't ask me why they kept this animal around or kept him in service as something that you would ride at all, but they did. So we're going to find out how this is going to work out. Before we do, I want to encourage you to visit Laser and Sword magazine. If you enjoy serial fiction, we have got new serials going up there twice a week now. Go to lasersword.adamsweb.us. Also, check out our store, lulu.com/lasersword, where you can purchase our first 11 issues or stories for a reasonable price. Get the Laser and Sword annual at lulu.com/lasersword. And again, I encourage everybody, cast your vote for us at Podcast Alley. Your support of the program is much appreciated at podcastalley.com. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into let's get into the Howling Coyote Part 4.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman. The sky! Look, it's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! And now, Superman, champion of the weak and the oppressed, who came to Earth from the planet Krypton with physical powers far beyond those of mortal men, and who fights a never-ending battle against crime and injustice, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a large metropolitan newspaper. Superman, as Clark Kent, and Jimmy Olson are visiting Editor White's Indian friend, Comanche Joe, on his ranch in the far west. Unknown to anyone, Rawson, the ranch foreman, is trying to persuade Comanche Joe to sell his ranch and oil fields for practically nothing, by making use of an old Indian legend which says that when a coyote howls, danger threatens. Many accidents and misfortunes have happened on the ranch, and they have always been preceded by the howl of a coyote. Now, last episode, we heard how Rawson's scheme to impress the Indians with the truth of the legend failed when Superman saved his young friend from a murderous bullet. But Rawson was not finished. As our last episode ended, he once again plotted against the life of Jimmy Olson. Listen.
Well, the plan to get that kid while he was up on top of the drum was a flop, Rawson.
Shut up now and get this, Dusty. This afternoon, you're going to take that kid riding on Gentle Lamb.
I don't get it.
You know Gentle Lamb as well as I do. He's the gentlest horse on the ranch until you touch him with spurs. Well, Dusty, you got to see to it that little Jimmy Olson, little laughing squirrel, wears spurs.
That horse goes crazy when you put spurs to him, Rawson. He'll kill a kid for sure.
That's what I'm driving at. Take the kid riding in the general direction of the Comanche Reservation. When you get some distance away from the ranch, present him with a pair of spurs. Kid'll wear them all right. The minute he touches Gentle Lamb with those spurs, the horse will go nuts in its curtains for the kid. If the Indians find him laying dead on the trail, I'll fix it for the coyote to howl. You get me?
I get you. To get the ranch, we've got to convince Chief Running Fox that the legend of the Howling Coyote is a real McCoy. That the ranch is bad medicine for Comanche Joe.
You got it.
Okay, Rawson. I'll take the kid riding. And I can guarantee he won't be coming back.
Comanche, where's Jimmy? Isn't he coming with you and me on this inspection of the oil field?
I don't think so, Kent. He said something about going for a ride with Dusty.
Oh.
Isn't that so, Tumbleweed?
Yeah. Here comes Dusty now. Hey, is that the Gentle Lamb he's got with him?
Yes. I don't know whether we ought to let Jimmy ride that horse.
Well, what's wrong with him?
Just one thing. That horse is called Gentle Lamb because he is as gentle as a lamb until you put spurs to him. He'll be all right as long as Jimmy doesn't wear rowels.
Oh, there comes Jimmy now. Doesn't look as if he's wearing spurs to me.
He ain't. Nothing to worry about, I guess. Hi there, Dusty.
Hi, Tumbleweed. Taking your partner, Jimmy Olson, for a ride. Hope you don't mind.
Just take care of him, that's all, Dusty. Anything happens to that boy, he'll answer to me.
Nothing will happen, Tumbleweed. You can count on me. Hey, kid, come on. Get up on Gentle Lamb here.
Holy mackerel, is that what that horse is called? Gentle Lamb? Can't you give me a horse with a little life in it?
Horse, Jimmy, not horse. You're even starting to talk like Tumbleweed Jones.
Anything wrong with the way I talk, Mr. Kip?
Well, for a Westerner, Tumbleweed, no. For an Easterner, yes.
Easterners. Tenderfeet.
Come on, Jimmy. Get up on the Gentle Lamb here.
Okay. Where are you going, Mr. Kent?
All right, Comanche's going to show me over the oil fields, Jimmy. Enjoy your ride.
Okay, I will. Say, Tumbleweed, why don't you come with us?
Hey, got work to do. See you later, Laughing Squirrel.
Okay. Let's go, Dusty. So long, everybody. Get up there. All the slow dad.
You better watch that young man, Ken. You'll be taking him back to the city wearing chaps and a sombrero.
I'm afraid so. Tumbleweed, I thought you were coming with us.
Well, I was, but I kind of fell behind in my work last night. You know, going over to watch that tribal ceremony and everything.
Oh, forget the work, Tumbleweed. Come on along.
We can't forget this work, Comanche. I'm making a bow for the youngster along with some arrows and a quiver to carry him in.
Making a bow and some arrows for Jimmy? Hey, you kind of like that young friend of mine, don't you?
I sure do. Great little fella. Hey, you and Comanche, go ahead. I'll see you tonight. Here's something to remember me by. Just made it this morning.
Well, what is it, huh? Oh, 2 bags of fudge, eh? All right, Tumbleweed, thanks.
Oh, welcome. Come on.
Come on.
Let's go, kid.
All right.
We've got a good half-hour's ride before we reach the oil field. If I'm not mistaken, there's a storm coming. Blizzard, most probably.
There is a blizzard coming, all right, but it won't get here till nightfall. You got time. So long. See ya.
All right, Tumbleweed.
Goodbye.
How did Tumbleweed know there was a blizzard coming?
I don't know. Somehow he can tell. Well, we won't be gone more than 2 or 3 hours. We'll be back at the ranch before the snow starts to fall. You know, Kent, I can't get over what I saw last night.
You mean at the tribal ceremony?
Yes. I saw that man. That Superman swoop down out of the night. The more I think of it, the more convinced I am that Superman does really exist. All right, Kent. Deny it if you want to. But I tell you, I saw this Superman with my own eyes.
No, never mind that, Comanche. The thing that interests me is this. Last night, just before you say Superman swooped down out of the night, I heard a coyote howl. The other day, just before that avalanche started, we heard a coyote howl. Something mysterious about that coyote.
I had a talk with my father, Chief Running Fox, last night.
Yes?
He advised me to put the ranch and the oil fields up for sale.
Oh, why?
He says that coyote will haunt me and my friends until I get rid of the ranch.
Are you going to follow his advice?
I don't know, Kent.
Well, Comanche, I believe there's a simple, down-to-earth explanation for the howling of that coyote just before something happened. And given a little time, we'll probably find out what it is.
While Clark Kent and Comanche Joe ride toward the oil fields, Jimmy Olson, accompanied by Dusty, Rawson's henchman, rides on toward the fatal danger Rawson has planned for him. We know, though Jimmy does not, that when spurs are applied to the horse known as Gentle Lamb, the animal becomes a hysterical killer. Listen.
Gee, Dusty, this sure is some country. I've never seen such wonderful scenery in my life.
Yeah, sure is beautiful.
Riding through these mountains is like, well, I don't know what it's like. Sure is different. Where are we going, Dusty?
Well, Jimmy, I thought we'd head over toward Comanche Reservation. Thought maybe you'd like to pay a visit to your new brothers. You're a member of the Comanche tribe now, you know.
Gee, yeah. I can't really believe that myself. Think of me, Jimmy Olson, being a member of a real tribe of Indians like the Comanches. And being called Laughing Squirrel and everything. Boy, that's really something, ain't it?
It certainly is. Hey, tap that horse here and keep up with mine. What's the matter with him?
Well, they call him Gentle Lamb. He's just as slow, too.
What you need for that horse is a pair of spurs.
Yeah, guess I'd have put some life into him. Well, no sense wishing for him when you can't have him.
Well, you can have them, all right. Got a pair right here. Just got them from the blacksmith this morning. They're being repaired and forgot to take them out of my pocket. Here you are. You can borrow them.
Oh, gee, Dusty, thanks a lot.
Wait a minute now. You don't have to dismount. I'll fit them to you while you're on the horse.
Oh, thanks, Dusty.
Yeah.
Hey, Dusty, it's starting to snow. Maybe we ought to be starting back to the ranch, huh?
Ah.
Oh, Tumbleweed says these blizzards and snowstorms out here can be pretty dangerous. People get lost in the snow sometimes and they freeze to death.
Now, don't you worry about getting lost in those snowstorms. I know the trail like the back of my hand. There you are. Ah, them spurs fit you like they was made for you. Maybe now you'll be able to get some speed out of that there nag.
Gee, yeah, maybe I will.
Now, dig them spurs into Gentle Lamb's flanks, Sonny, and we'll see what happens.
Okay, here goes. Hey, what's happening?
Hold on, kid, if you can.
Hold on. He's going to throw me. Dusty, the horse is falling, and I'm falling with him. Dusty, I'm under him. He's kicking. Help me, Dusty, help. Oh, my head. Oh.
Well, that's that. Wait. Someone shot that horse with an arrow. An Indian, probably. An Indian done it.
It wasn't no Indian, Dusty.
Tumbleweed. Tumbleweed Joe.
I'll settle with you later, Dusty. I put an arrow through that horse's heart just in time. Uncle Jimmy.
You need first aid. You need in a hurry. Horse kicked you in the head. Bad concussion, probably. Hey, Dusty, give me a hand getting this kid back to the ranch house. Hey, ridden off. Skedaddled. May he burn in the bottommost pit. But I'll get Jimmy back myself. I'll get him to a doctor in time if it's the last thing I do.
This is getting worse, Tumbleweed. I don't think the doctor will be able to get through.
He's got to get through. Kid'll die if he don't. You get word to Comanche Joe and Clark Kent?
Yeah, Boley rolled out the oil fields about an hour and a half ago.
Kent and Comanche must be on their way back by now. Why doesn't that doctor get here? What's he taking all this time about?
The blizzard is terrible, Tumbleweed. No human can get through in a night like this. God, listen to that wind out there.
I'll get it. Hello. Yeah? Listen, Doc, you just got to get here. There's a kid here been kicked in the head by a horse. How do I know how bad it is? All I know is the kid's unconscious. He's been that way for over an hour. Well, that's bad, huh? You can't get through. Okay. If you can't get through to me, I'll get through to you. Never mind how. Goodbye. Put blankets around that kid. Get it? That'll all right.
You ain't thinking of taking your favorite horse out in that blizzard, Tumbleweed. He'll never come back alive.
If anything can get through this blizzard, that horse will. That'll all right, like I tell you.
Tumbleweed, use your head. The doctor's 20 miles from here over the mountains. There's a blizzard raging, man. The worst I ever seen in a year. You'll never get through. You and the kid and the horse will freeze to death out in the mountains.
Can't let that kid die. Get those blankets around him and hurry up. Pronto, you hear me?
All right. But you're a crazy hombre, Tumbleweed. Nobody, not Superman himself, can get through this blizzard.
I can try. Any way you look at it, the kid died. Well, I'll take a chance on getting him through the mountains to the doctor.
Yeah, the kid's ready, too. All wrapped up in blankets. But I tell you, you'll never make it.
Maybe not, but I can try. Open that door, Jerry. I'm on my way. I'll have a little laughing squirrel here or die in the tent.
A job that needs Superman. Jimmy's friend, Tumbleweed Jones, faces 20 miles of dangerous mountain trails blocked by snow and blizzard. Will he reach the doctor in time to save Jimmy? Will he reach the doctor at all? Be sure to hear the next thrilling episode of our story with Superman.
And remember, tune in the next thrilling installment of the transcription feature, Superman. Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's Superman! Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Welcome back. Well, so far, the ranch hand seemed to be the star of this particular episode. One of the limits of the 15-minute episode is you can have an actual episode where there is little to no Superman, which is kind of remarkable as he's the star of the show. But I'm sure we're going to get some Superman next week in part 5. But before we go ahead and wrap up, I want to go ahead and let you find out what happened as the Blue Beetle smashes the dope ring. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Let's look in on police headquarters. The time is close to midnight. Manigan is holding down the desk while the sergeant is out for a bite to eat.
Sure, and I wish the sergeant would get back. I'd like me little trundle bed and some shut eye. Oh.
Take it easy, Manigan. You won't get hurt. You always wanted to meet the Blue Beetle. Well, here he is. It's no use to struggle. The Blue Beetle is stronger than you are. I'll just stuff this handkerchief in your mouth and then tie you up. And I'll carry you into the room where you keep the fingerprint files. There you are. Now, over my shoulder you go up the taxi. Here we are. Now, just lie there like a good little boy. I want to examine these files. Let me see. Type 27B, 28B, 29, 30, 31B. Yes, that looks like it. Fingerprints of Joe Bugs McGotti, and here's his photograph. Yes, Mr. Bugs McGotti, those are your fingerprints, all right. You're the guy that stole that murder gun. Well, Mr. Bugs McGotty, you're going to get nipped by the Blue Beetle and nipped hard.
Reach for the ceiling, Mr. Blue Beetle.
Ah, the beautiful daughter of the police commissioner.
Don't move. I'll shoot if you do.
I have no intention of moving unless it's to step within the aura of such a charming person as yourself, Miss Donnelly.
What are you doing here? And why is you gagged and tied up Officer Manigan there?
I'm here to obtain evidence against the opium gang your father is trying to round up. I tied up Officer Manigan there to prevent his interfering.
Why didn't you enlist his aid? After all, he's working on this case.
The Blue Beetle works alone.
But how do I know you're working for rather than against my father?
Well, if my charming captor will lower that toy revolver which he's holding in none too steady hand, the Blue Beetle will tell her something to gladden her father's heart.
Very well. But don't try any tricks.
Not a trick, my dear young lady. Now listen. I promise you that before daylight your father will have the opium gang under lock and key, together with enough evidence to convict them.
How do I know you'll keep your promise?
Let this seal my promise.
Oh.
Good night, my sweet. I'd like to linger after that kiss, but the Blue Beetle has a duty to perform.
Take me with you, Blue Beetle. Let me stand by your side when you... He's gone. Maybe to die alone. No, I can't let him. I must help him. I must.
Like a bloodhound on the trail once he gets the scent, the Blue Beetle sped on his mission. And like the bloodhound, he'll never let up till he runs his quarry to earth. But close on his heels goes the commissioner's daughter, determined to have a part in the roundup of the nefarious gang of dope peddlers. Little did she know that close behind as she hurried down the darkened street, a car was slowly following her.
There she goes. That's the commissioner's girl. Let's nab her now.
Oh, wait till she passes that street light. Now, out you go. Make it snappy and keep it quiet.
Okay, boss. Excuse me, lady.
What? Who are you?
Grab her. Come on.
Let me go.
I got her. Come on. Okay, here's the car. I'll stick this gag in her mouth. There. Now open the door. We got her, boss.
All right, come in. The commissioner will pay a big dough to get his darling daughter back alive.
Where is the Blue Beetle? Will the Blue Beetle be able to rescue the beautiful daughter of the police commissioner? Will he locate the hideout of the dope ring? Will he be able to collect enough evidence to convict them? Through the silent night, down by the waterfront, two powerful cars are speeding along. The first car is full of men, hard-looking men, desperate men, killers all. But who is this lone occupant of the second car? Ah, yes, it is the Blue Beetle.
That looks like the car that passed me the day I was machine gunned. I'll just follow her. It may lead me to the dope peddler's hangout. They suspect me. They've got a machine gun pointing out of the rear. There it goes. I better give them a ruffle with my synchronized machine gun before they shoot away my windshield. A super shatterproof glass is good, but I don't know how good. All right, you rats. How do you like this? I must have got that driver. Their car's zigzagging. Well, now they're speeding up. Well, here we go again. They're slowing down. They're turning into that warehouse. That's my gang, all right. Just the spot I was headed for. Now, Mr. Bugs McGotty, for the final showdown. Closing the iron doors of the warehouse. I'll soon blast them open, those special bombs Dr. Brum's made for me. All right, you mugs, don't close that door. I'll blow you all to kingdom come.
That's a beetle. What's he got in his hand? That's a bomb. Go on, drill him.
Go ahead, Joe McGotty. Go ahead and shoot. I recognize you. Your bullets can't hurt the Blue Beetle. What did I tell you? Now it's my turn. Here goes your door. Then I'm coming right in and mop up. Here I come. You better drop your guns or I'll let you have another bomb.
There. This is, boss. Put her in front of us.
Right as a shield.
Okay, wise guy, Blue Beetle. Toss your little bomb and blow the police commissioner's daughter to kingdom come along with us.
They've got Mary Donnelly. Stop bluffing, McGotty. You can't fool me. She's not the commissioner's daughter. She's one of your mob, and she goes with you. I'll give you 3 seconds to drop your guns. 1, 2.
Okay, Blue Beetle. You win.
Now release the commissioner's daughter. And get those hands up. That's more like it. Now, Miss Donnelly, here's some handcuffs. Slip them on those gangsters and bring me their guns.
All right.
That's better. Now, Miss Donnelly, you keep those men covered while I have a look around. That's a nice collection of dope you've got in these cans here. Here comes the law. Wait until the DA gets through with you. There'll be a few less criminals in this world.
Blue Beetle, you saved my life. These men were holding me for ransom. My father will reward you handsomely.
The Blue Beetle seeks no reward, Miss Donnelly. He seeks only justice. Justice for the underdog and safety for the citizens of this great city. Now, you take this gun and keep those mugs covered. The police will be here any minute. I have no desire to meet them.
But who are you? Please tell me.
I can only tell you this. I'm the man who kissed you twice in one night.
Oh.
My respects to your father, Miss Donnelly. Tell him the Blue Beetle will always be at his service in running down criminals of all kinds.
Away in his fast motor car sped the Blue Beetle, leaving the commissioner's daughter on guard over Bugs McGarty and his band of criminals. But close behind him speeds another car, a police car. Will the Blue Beetle be overtaken and unmasked? Ahead, a stoplight is changing from green to red. Will the Blue Beetle defy the traffic regulations to avoid discovery, or will he obey the rules of safe driving?
Mr. Blue Beetle himself. I've been following you for a mile. I thought I'd catch you at this stoplight. Come on, me bucko. I'll ride the running board back to the police station. And no funny business or I'll blow your brains out.
So it's you again, Officer Manigan. I'd love to take you for a ride.
No, none of that. It's me that's taking you for a ride. I saw you drive out of that warehouse back there, so you were in with those dope peddlers.
That's nice figuring, Officer Manigan.
It'll be Detective Manigan after I turn you in. Now get going, Mr. Blue Beetle.
It's too bad, Manigan, that we have to take such a lonely, winding road along the waterfront.
Listen, Mr. Blue Beetle. The slightest move and you'll be Mr. Dead Beetle.
Oh, yeah? Listen, you're interfering with my work, Patrolman Manigan. So there you go. Right off the running board into the river. Have a nice swim for yourself until you cool off. Good night, Detective Manigan.
And so the mysterious and thrilling character known as the Blue Beetle, after rounding up a gang of criminals, slips away to let the police take credit for cleaning up the dope racket. The next morning, Patrolman Dan Garrett drops in for a visit with Dr. Franz.
Well, Danny, I see you let the police take all the credit again.
Sure. I can't let my buddies down.
According to newspaper reports, your friend Manigan got tossed into the river by some of the gangsters whom he had captured single-handed.
So that's his story. That ain't the way I heard it.
I'll bet the Blue Beetle had something to do with it.
Well, you'd win your bet. You know, when I met him this morning, he had the sniffles. And he said he caught a cold. So I asked him if he'd been in swimming without his sweater.
And didn't he get wise to the swimming gag?
Yeah, after a minute. He wanted to know how I knew he'd been in the water. I told him I heard it from one of the boys.
Hey, Doc, have you heard the latest news?
Why, no. What is it?
Well, the authorities have got wind of a plot to sabotage that new Army pursuit plane that's being tested tomorrow out of the flying field.
Sabotage? That's my speed. Maybe I can get him the detail to the flying field. So long, Doc. I gotta get over to headquarters.
Though some nation is envious of Uncle Sam's superiority in the manufacture of aircraft, what will happen at the airfield? Will the Blue Beetle be able to uncover this plot in time? Will he be able to run the criminals to earth? Those are all questions which will be answered in the next edition of The Blue Beetle. And now here's the Blue Beetle himself to say a few words.
Folks, the story you've just heard should teach you the value of never giving up. Sometimes things are pretty tough. But don't ever be discouraged. Whether it's a business task or a school chore, The men and women of today and the men and women of tomorrow should stick to their jobs. You will always find a way out. Something will always turn up. Or a friend will lend a helping hand. Like Dr. Franz in my case. So just keep trying.
The Blue Beetle is a Cox feature appearing in Mystery Men Comics magazine. The Blue Beetle is on the air twice a week on this same station. Consult the broadcast schedule in your local newspapers, and don't forget to listen in.
All right, well, there's a lot of unintentional comedy in this show, I guess, by today's standards. Particularly the part where we get to the question of, is the Blue Beetle going to let himself get caught, or is he basically going to say, or is he going to break traffic violations? He actually chose to follow the traffic rules and stop, because it was illegal to go ahead and run the traffic. But apparently, then he had no problem throwing the police officer into the river. Because throwing a police officer into the river is a lot less serious than speeding or running a red light. Well, I guess that. This is just in so many ways. It really does make us appreciate the writing on the Superman show, which at times can seem slightly cliched in our era. But listening to the Blue Beetle gives you a whole new appreciation. And the two kisses, and the commissioner's daughter. That was one thing I got to say was key to Superman's success among red-blooded pre-adolescent boys. No kissing. That wasn't Superman's bag. It was about just saving people, flying in, doing the action fighting stuff. You gave the audience what they wanted. But Blue Beetle, interesting, we may revisit. And I do have to say, his closing message is pretty timely in the course of the economic times we find ourselves in. So that was kind of nice. But without any further ado, we're going to wrap it up. We will be back next week with just Superman. I don't know when we will do Blue Beetle again, or if we will. You got any comments on the show, feel free to email me, Adam at adamsweb.us. For now, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.